Everybody loves spending their weekend going out somewhere. So do I, but what if something creepy happens? It once happened with me and my cousin. We both just freaked out, but it wasn't a big deal to a person we met there. So the story starts like this. I live in Mumbai, India. Once, I was sitting playing video games with my younger brother. My mom and dad were deciding on going out one weekend, and so they called up my uncle and asked that if he and his family can join us. And so the very next day we left our house and went to catch up the train which led us to our destination, Marathon, a very beautiful tourist spot surrounded by mountains in India. It took the whole day to reach there. It was lovely being there, and now we had to find a hotel to stay in. The only bad thing about this place is, it being the tourist spot, has hotels far away from each other, so that if there is a hotel in front of you, the other hotel will be 1 or 2 kilometers away. Half of our day wasted in search for this hotel, but finally we found the hotel that was just right for us. Not a big one, but a cheap hotel. We then registered over there, took our keys for our rooms. We took 3 rooms on rent, 1 for my parents, 1 for my uncle and his wife, and 1 for me, my brother, and my 2 cousins. We got all of our 3 rooms on the first floor of the hotel. When our parents slept, we all kids turned on the TV and watched movies. After some time, we heard some classical music coming out of the room beside ours, and it was too loud. So loud that we weren't able to listen to the movie dialogues. Then classical music was turned off, and suddenly it started again. We all decided to go and ask the neighbors to slow a bit the volume, but it was so dark that I, my brother, and one of my cousins didn't go out of the room, but my other cousin was kind of fearless, so we went alone. Now, it's not like he went and never came back, but he experienced something that he will never forget. So we went to the neighbor's door. It was a little bit dark over there, and rang the bell of their room, but the bell didn't work. So he looked at the door, and he was surprised to see that the door was locked from the outside. So he looked through the keyhole, and all he saw was a green light and nothing else. And when he looked into the keyhole, the music stopped. He then returned to our room, and he told us that the room was locked, and inside there was only a green light. Now, there was no music to be heard. We slept after some time. The next day, we went down in the lobby and asked the manager if there was anybody in the room staying beside us. Why, he asked. We told him everything that happened last night, and also that my cousin saw a green light through the keyhole. He was calm, like it wasn't a big deal to him. He told us that the room was closed from the last 3 years. 3 years back, a girl committed suicide in that room who came to Marathon to participate in a singing competition held over there. No one knows why she killed herself, and she was having green eyes, so the green light my cousin saw was nothing else but the girl's eyes. She was looking my cousin through the keyhole the same time he was looking through it. The manager stated whenever he gave a room beside the haunted one on rent, he got complaints about the loud classical music being played. When me and my cousin came to know this, we freaked out, and we forced our parents to change the hotel. That was the first and last time my cousin experienced something that creepy, but I experienced a few more, and I'll share them with you eventually. It was just after 11-ish at night in the Christmas holidays. Everyone had gone to bed. Some were still up reading, though. I was feeling a bit tired, so I thought I would try to sleep. I turned off my light and laid down, but try as I might, I could not get to sleep. It got to about 1:30, and I was still awake. It was like my body was asleep, but my mind was racing. I could hear footsteps down the hall. I thought it was my sister coming home from work. My bedroom door opened slightly. Maybe she was checking in on me, although she didn't usually do this. I then felt something on the bottom of my bed, next to my foot. My original thought was it's only the cat, but then I felt pressure on the other side of my feet. By this time, I was done convincing myself it was my sister or my cat, and was at the point of freakout. I clenched my jaw and didn't dare to move. I felt the original pressure be taken off, but quickly put back down. Only this time, it was around my knees. The same happened with the second place and continued alternating faster and faster until finally I felt a weight on my chest, but I didn't want to open my eyes. It felt so heavy that I couldn't breathe or move, and I had to do something. I opened my eyes and looked. Green eyes looked back at me. I couldn't help myself. I screamed as loud as I could, and my grandmother came running. My door flung open on its own, and my grandmother stopped in the cross-section of the hall in front of my room. She waited a moment and came in. I was sitting up in bed, and I felt so hot, and I asked my grandmother if I had a fever. She put her hand on my head and said, "No, your skin is ice cold." I don't think I'll ever forget those eyes, or how hot I was. When I was younger, my parents and I tended to move a lot, mainly because my mom despised staying in one place for too long. As she often said, there are simply too many things to do and see, so why settle? I was 7 when we got a job offer in Springfield, Missouri at the primary school. Of course, she jumped on the opportunity, and we said goodbye to Lebanon, packed up our few belongings, and were off. She had found a nice apartment for us. It was a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and cozy yet spacious, with lots of children for me to play with and only 5 minutes from the school she would be teaching at. Within a week, we were settled, and Mom was pushing me outside to socialize. I was always a socially awkward child, mainly because I was shy, making it really hard for me to relate with other kids, nonetheless communicate. I hopped on my bike and started riding the sidewalks, watching for someone close to my age to play with. Oddly enough, for a sunny Saturday, there wasn't a lot of people out and about, so I headed towards a small playground that was between the 2 apartment buildings. It had a large tire swing and a slide attached to what looked like a clubhouse, so I parked my bike and started swinging. I decided to get lost in my thoughts when I heard a female voice from behind me. "Hey, mind if I swing with you?" I turned startled, toppling over the tire swing into the sand. A tall, thin girl with long, wavy brown hair, wearing a buttoned-down yellow sleeveless shirt and white capris was staring at me, trying not to laugh. "You all right there, Jumpy?" She chuckled, extending a hand towards me. "Yeah, you just startled me," I said, brushing the sand off my back. "What's your name?" "Rebecca, but you can call me Becca. And you?" "Elena. You still want to swing?" She smiled and climbed on the tire swing, waiting for me to join her. "So are you new here? I don't think I've seen you around." "Yeah, we just settled in not long ago. How long have you lived here?" "A pretty long time, I guess." I looked at her puzzled. How could she not know? I shrugged it off and changed the subject. We talked for the longest time about anything and everything that came to mind. For the first time in a long while, I had finally found someone that I had something in common with. Maybe I've actually made a friend, I thought to myself, smiling, as I watched the little boy and his mom heading towards the playground. "You want to come to my apartment and get a drink? It's kind of hot and you can meet my mom," I said, stopping the swing. No sooner I had finished my sentence, the little boy's mom walked up and placed a hand on my shoulder. "Sweetie, who are you talking to?" I turned around and Becca was gone. I looked around to see what direction she had ran, but she was nowhere in sight. I was talking to Becca. She's the girl that was swinging with me. Did you see the way she went? The woman studied me and shook her head. She's loco, Mama, laughed the little boy. I thanked her, blushing with embarrassment, and got on my bike to look for Becca, but I never saw her again, nor did I ever mention her until now. I'm not sure why she approached me, or why she was lingering around the apartment complex, but I will never forget my disappearing friend.